How's it going, YouTube? How's it going, Man United fans? Pretty shit, as I imagine. It is for me as well, watching that. Yeah, another couple of points dropped from that when it should have been a win first half. Obviously, a good performance first half. Some good chances made, squandered again. Similar to the Middlesbrough game. And we've dropped points again, so squandering chances left, right and centre first half. Burnley bottom of the table. They were diabolical in the first half. Should have beaten them. And we didn't. We didn't get the second goal, and some real poor man management of the game. Poor defensive attitude in the second half. Not getting control of the game early on in the first few minutes. Maguire with an absolute shocker again in defence, coming out drastically to win the ball and missing his fluffing his lines and causing the first goal really, and nearly causing the second. Just overall, just really disheartening, to be quite honest. We're going into every game now, just not really expecting much out of it. No matter who we throw into that lineup, whether it be Sancho or Lingard or Rashford or Cavani or whoever, we just seem to be coming out with a similar sort of result. There's no real kind of enthusiasm about us, about our play or about anything. I think obviously first half it was very encouraging, but there's just no feeling that we're gonna score. I think the difference being in the first half is that we looked like we were counter-attacking quite a bit, that we were getting behind them, breaking on them and creating chances from that. Second half, Burnley sort of figured that out a little bit, sat behind the ball, sat deep, and that's been our Achilles heel for 18 months, 2 years. When teams sit in against us, Wolves are a classic example. We always struggle against Wolves. They create that brick wall of 4 at the back, 4 in midfield. We can't break it down. We're not clever enough. We're not a Man City who can tick-a-tacker for 150 odd passes in between a breakdown of a play in front of the box and conjure up a deep cross from nowhere to the back post. And we're not that kind of team. We've never been that kind of team, and we just can't seem to conjure up that chance and break and open up and unlock a defence when it's so solid as it was in the second half against Burnley, and Burnley were comfortable. And when they broke against us, they created chances. Every team's done that to us this season. Newcastle did it to us. Norwich did it to us. Brentford did it to us. Burnley did it to us in the first game. They did it to us in the second game. Teams have done it to us consistently this season when we can't seem to break down a team. And when you can't defend equally, and Maguire's touch tight, and you're getting a ball over the top, and he's got to wrestle somebody to the ground because he knows he can't beat them in a foot race, then you've got an issue. And that's what happened for one of the goals. It came out of his, rushing out to make a tackle when McTominay was seemingly next to, I think it was Jay Rodriguez, and he nearly got himself sent off. It's diabolical. It needs to stop happening. Maguire can't start in this team. He's not good enough. Clearly not good enough. And he was the reason again that we conceded in this game. Albeit I know we didn't control the game in midfield as well as we did in the first half, but we're just leaking silly goals, gifting silly chances to teams that aren't anywhere near the standard that we should be at. We're going for titles, or should have been going for titles at the beginning of the season. Now going for top 4, and we're playing a team who are suffering at the bottom of the league and struggling to create chances and struggling to cope with their attacks, and it's just it's diabolical. It needs to stop, really, and it ain't going to stop. We're going to a tough period next. We've got Southampton, who aren't going to be any easier than Burnley. Move on to Brighton, who are going to be even tougher than Southampton. And then move on to Leeds, away from home at Ellen Road, which is going to be a tough game in itself anyway, due to the occasion. And then we go to Atletico Madrid, and then we've got a tough March where we've got Man City and Liverpool, and it just gets worse and worse. And I fear for us really that we're not going to be able to that top four. It's not going to be top four. It's going to be Europa League before we know it. And it's a shame. So losing 2 points against Burnley is not ideal. Not ideal really. And we'll look at. I've just done a really quick sort of series of ratings. I mean, the first half, I was coming out the first half thinking, coming into this review, this kind of reaction, that it had been really, really good. I was kind of looking forward to doing this. And then we've just, second half, just been so poor, considering where we were in the first. I thought first half, did well in the first 20, 30 minutes. Last 10, it was pretty poor. But then we managed to close out the half. And then just haven't woke up in the second half. And yeah, just shocking, really. But yeah, I'm going to talk about the formation really quickly, and talk about the ratings. So here we are in terms of ratings and formation. I mean, the formation was pretty similar to what I did on my pre-match yesterday, other than Cavani started as opposed to Ronaldo starting. So there was no much change to that. Sancho started left, which is where we thought he was going to start, as opposed to Rashford, which kind of worked. It worked in the first half. It kind of worked in the second half. Let's go for the ratings from back to front, really. I'll give De Gea a 7. I thought De Gea did well. There was a couple of distribution errors from De Gea, but I think overall he was good and solid again. But had to make a couple of good saves, which he was on hand for, especially for Weghorst, where he had to get down to his right quickly, and it was an unbelievable save. Any other keeper, I think that's probably most likely going to go into that bottom corner, but De Gea finds a save and manages to push it out for a corner kick. So I'll give him a 7 for that reason. Otherwise, I think we'd have lost the game. Gave Dalot a 6. Thought he was okay going forward. Linked up pretty well with Rashford and Sancho when they switched. Not a great performance from Dalot defensively, but good going forward, as we know he's good at doing that. Some of his distribution was a bit poor though, so it wasn't a full 7. It was more of a 6. Shaw, similar to that, seems to get in those deep areas in and around the box, but his delivery is not great. And we just haven't been able to find that form that he found in the Euros and the pre-season, really, and into the early stages of the season when he was on fire. Probably dropped a little bit of fitness, a little bit of form, and it wasn't great again, so I'll give him a 6. Varane, I'll give him a 5. I probably should have given him a 6, really. I thought he was a bit of an aerial threat. Had a couple of chances, obviously scored a disallowed goal. Nearly got a goal towards the end with a flick. So probably 5 is probably an unfair score, really. Probably a 6 is probably more fair. I thought defensively he was a little bit more sound than Maguire. But equally we've still conceded again. And you could probably criticise his communication with Maguire for moving forward to that ball. I mean, just to talk about it, really, the situation that we were in, it was kind of the other way around like this. Can't remember where Bruno and Pogba were. Tomane's come across to shut this out, so they're attacking like this. McTominay's come to shut this out, which he did, and for some reason, Maguire's come out of this position here, which he had no right to do, to deal with this. He didn't deal with it. Then it sort of leaks through to. So obviously Rand's coming across to sort of cover, and that allows Rodriguez to come through here. Maguire's trying to then patch that up, and obviously Rodriguez just goes through and scores. Maguire ain't got the pace to cover that back up. But why is he doing a circle here? He should have been here and here. If anything, it should have been Varane's job to shut that out on his side, close it out. Maguire should have shoveled across a little bit, closed the gap, but not coming out of position. Just shuffle the gap. To communicate with Varane, speak to him. You're the captain of the club. Speak to Varane. Tell him what you're going to be doing. Tell him what he needs to do. Be his eyes from behind where he needs to be. If Rodriguez is looking like he's going over his shoulder and Varane's getting sucked in, then you cover that. You cover that, and Shaw covers this. You don't go, why are you going to this man here? McTominay was on him. And hopefully McTominay pushes him wide enough so that Dalot maybe deals with it. It was a strange bit of a strange choice from Maguire, really. Very strange choice, and it cost us that first goal, and from there we went downhill. So very poor for Maguire. I thought he was dreadful. He did another error in here where he tried to do a silly sort of clearance diving header. He gave it away, and then he went through and nearly scored again. He was just overall very, very poor. Aerially, he's not a threat anymore, which is his only main attribute. We're on for something like 130, 140 odd corners now without a goal. The thing is, it's fine enough not having a goal, but we're not even getting it anywhere near. We're not even winning the ball in the box from corners and threatening the keeper. We're not even beating the first man on corners. We're now starting to do this weird short corner episode where Sancho's playing it out to Fernandes here, and then we're trying to lay it off to McTominay. He was coming in for what seemingly is like a ridiculously difficult 30-odd, 25-yard shot, which is, it comes off every once in a blue moon, but when you start playing it as a routine, they're going to figure that out. And it didn't work. It didn't work once, and yet we tried it 2 or 3 or 4 times. Just poor. Just overall very, very poor. And like I say, once Burnley sat in deep against us, they just we didn't seem to be a threat. I gave McTominay a 7. I thought McTominay played well. I thought in the first half he was the reason that we mopped up the loose ball. As soon as he won that ball, he was giving it into Fernandes, giving it into Pogba. And I thought he played well. And as soon as he sort of took a knock in the second half, the game sort of went downhill a little bit for us then. Obviously, we didn't get a grip of it in the first 5 minutes, but I felt he needed. We don't really have that cover that McTominay provides in there, and we never really sort of gained that back once he went off. So that was a bit of a concern. I know we came off at 80 minutes, but I think he was flagging a little bit before that, maybe 60 odd minutes, and obviously we haven't really got an answer to someone in that position. Pogba isn't going to do that defensive duty. Fernandes isn't going to do it. Fred's obviously got COVID, and I don't think he's as good as McTominay in that position on his own. And Matic hasn't got the legs, and I don't think he's defensively as sound as McTominay. He's more Pogba-like in terms of his football. He likes to be involved in the moving the ball going forward. But I give him a 7. I thought he played well, McTominay. Pogba I gave a 6. Could have been a slight 7. I thought he had a decent first half. And it's probably the reason why we're now transitioning from this defensive area where we're winning the ball, loose ball from Burnley, or tackling the ball back, giving it to Pogba, and Pogba's now got that ability to move it forward to the attacking players, whereas before we'd be giving it from McTominay to Fred, or Fred to McTominay, and it'd just be coming back to Shaw, Maguire, Varane, Dalot, and just working its way around the defence, and we'd be inviting pressure on ourselves, or we'd be hitting it long from these positions, and then it'd be coming straight back. But I felt like with Pogba, he provides a bit of calmness on the ball because of his strength and his ability on the ball, and he's able to transition that calmly to the attacking players to move forward. And in the first half, it was working, and we were counter-attacking properly. In the second, we didn't seem to be able to get a hold of that, and we weren't getting the joy that we were in the first with that. Fernandes, I gave him a 6. I don't know what Fernandes is providing this team. I felt in the Middlesbrough game he was good, but he's got such a loose position within this team now that you just don't know what he's giving you. Is he giving you a box-to-box midfielder? Is he giving you this attacking midfielder that's going to play passes into the strikers and into the wing forwards? Is he a central midfielder who retains possession? What is he? What's he doing? He's not nipping in for goals. He's not creating many chances. he's thrown his hand. I mean, if there was a competition for how many times he whinges at his teammates and throws his hands up in the air, Fernandes would be winning that quite handsomely, I think, to be honest, because he's never happy with his teammates, just constantly whinging at people for not doing the right thing. When ironically he's seemingly never picking the right pass, never making the right decision, constantly losing the ball, making silly shots from silly angles, doing crosses when it's not appropriate. Wasn't good again, Fernandes, and it was poor. Move on to Sancho. I thought had a good first half, very good first half. Looked a lot more the player that we expected to see. Was a threat, dribbling towards his the fullback. Had numerous seconds on the ball because of that fear that he put in the fullback that he could skip past him at any time. Did that on a couple of occasions. Needs to do it more. Needs to be supported more by Shaw, who's gonna, if the fullback's getting past him, it allows him to go on and do a little bit more in the box or create more chances. But I thought it was good, and he was the only real player that I felt like there was going to be something coming from. If he was in that, if he was giving the ball, I felt like if there was going to be a goal coming from any position, it would have been from Sancho. So for me, he was our best player. Really, thought Rashford on the other side was good in little bits. A little bit of a better second half, but again, for me, he's an impact player. I'll be playing Alanga with his form currently and bringing Rashford on. When we brought Rashford on, he scored goals. He's had more energy. He's had more pace. And I just unfortunately think that he's just not someone at this moment in time who deserves a start. That's not to say he played particularly bad, but I think Alanga definitely deserves a start over Rashford, and I think Rashford is definitely more of an impact player at this moment in time, and he should be coming on and making that difference. And I think today, if Alanga had started and Rashford had come on, we might have gone on and won that game because Rashford might have got us a goal or two. So I think that's something that we definitely need to consider for the next game. Cavani, I thought was poor. Every time he got the ball, he just seemed someone who was just off the pace. I think the system itself doesn't suit that centre forward position. We don't play to it. We don't. Ronaldo and Cavani are playing in similar sort of patterns. Ronaldo was equally lost against Middlesbrough the other night, and Cavani showed the same sort of issues where he just seemed lost. Didn't seem to be knowing where to run, what path he was going to make, when to come short, when to come long. And the only thing he did was link up a little bit when he was deep in these positions from goal kicks or corners, where he was playing it into the midfielders, and then they were able to play it down to Rashford and Sancho, and he was able to move on from that. But apart from that, he wasn't doing much else. He didn't look a goal threat. Didn't have many chances on goal. Wasn't given many chances to show that. And again, I think that's more to the system than his ability. Obviously, his ability is second to probably just Ronaldo. And give Cavani a chance, he's going to score. We're not creating those chances in those sort of areas. We're messing around with it here and here. We're not delivering those balls into the box for Cavani regularly enough. It's hesitant. We're getting the balls here, and then rather than crossing it in first time, with maybe playing it into the midfield, messing around with it, coming back to the back two or the back four or whatever it is. At that time, it's not quick enough. It's always a second or two too slow, and it showed when it mattered. So Rashford I gave a 6. I didn't think he played awful, but I didn't think he played particularly great either. And Cavani a 4. I thought he just wasn't in the game. As for the substitutes, I give Ronaldo a 6. I thought he had a couple of chances, showed a little bit of a spark. It didn't start off particularly great, but came into the game a little bit more. And I thought, again, similar to Cavani, didn't do anything particularly wrong, but didn't really sort of actively do anything right either. And I don't think we're playing to his strengths. But I give him a 6 just because he had a couple of chances. He created a couple of chances of his own, and it did look as if a couple more minutes Ronaldo would have got a good chance. But yeah, gave him a 6. Probably should have given him a 5, but I give him a 6 just to be fair. Lingard and Alanga, I've both given them 5s. Came on, didn't really do much. Lingard was a little bit better than Alanga was, just mainly because the ball came down to Lingard's side a little bit more than it did Alanga. But was again showing everybody that in Lingard's view, he doesn't want to be at United and he shouldn't be at United, and he wants to move, and his attitude and his demeanour and his behaviour clearly shows that he does not want to be at this club. Didn't have much energy. Comes on for the last 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever you want to call it, at the end of the stoppage time, and didn't show a great deal, which is disappointing. Alanga tried, but again, it was too late. You come on 18 minutes in. Very difficult to affect the game when the energy is already quite high and there's a lot of pressure on the result, and Burnley are obviously up for it. So yeah, just overall very disappointing. Very disappointing. I think looking forward at the next fixtures, the next one, Southampton, I just genuinely don't have much positivity for that game. I think I've come into every one of these reactions and these pre-matches expecting a 1 or 2-0 win, 3-0 win in some cases. I mean, Burnley in that first half, you expect to come away with a decent result when you look at that first half, and we've nearly lost the game without De Gea. A couple of De Gea saves, and it's just disappointing. This squad that we were all talking about pre-season was going to go on and win or challenge for the title, and we're scraping top 4 and don't deserve to be there. So yeah, just overall really disappointed with the result and the performance. Again, I think I said last night in the pre-match, I think we all as fans just wanted a little bit of a just wanted a good performance. I think if we'd have come away with that 1-0, having performed as we did in the first half, in the second, but only won it 1-0, I think everybody would have been really, really pleased with that. It would have been nice to get a couple more goals, but the fact that we've come away and drew it 1-1, but if we'd have won that and had a poor performance, we'd have all been fairly disappointed. I think we want some convincing now that the systems that we're putting in place, the training methods, all the talk about this pressing style is starting to come to fruition, and the squad that he's got, there's some harmony there. I just haven't got that faith. I haven't got the faith in the system at all. I haven't got the faith in the manager. I think he's at the moment saying too much about players and about attitudes and about behaviours. I know that he wants to stamp that out and stamp this attitude out, but talking about it in the media isn't going to help the situation. It's going to make it worse. I think he's not been great, despite the fact I think he's very articulate and quite clever and polite. I think he's not dealt with the English media very well, and we're seeing some knock-on effect from that with players' attitude and stuff like that. Just everything really. I think we looked better, dare I say it, with Ollie at this moment in time. We would crank out a performance or a series of performances every so often and go on a bit of a run. With this regime, we're not at all. We've not put a good performance in since Rangnick's been here. We've put elements of good performances within a match. Yeah, we've had 20 minutes, we've had 30 minutes, we've had 40 minutes, we've had half an hour or 45. We've not had a 90 minutes across the 90 minutes where we've gone, that was a good game, that was a good performance in that game. There's been moments in matches, but overall as a performance, it's been poor under Rangnick, very poor, and it doesn't seem to be getting any. Well, it does seem to be getting slightly better, but the progress in terms of how quickly it's getting better is far too slow. And the league slipping away in terms of the top 4 position that we need is slipping away. It's putting more pressure on the games that we're not expected to win, against Man City, against Liverpool, against Arsenal, against Spurs, that are all coming up soon. It's just generally putting a lot of pressure on us. So I'm not particularly encouraged, and it's starting to really affect me watching this. I'm not sure how everyone else feels, but coming into Man United games now, I just feel. I mean, I didn't know what to expect previously, but genuinely don't know what to expect now. Whether we're going to lose, whether we're going to win, whether they're going to draw, whether who's going to play well. It's just a pantomime of a football club at this moment in time, and a pantomime of performances in terms of what we're putting together, and the fans deserve better, really. Really don't know what else to say about that, but right, guys, it's late now anyway. I've waffled on and moaned on for about 20 odd minutes, so I appreciate you if you've watched it. Been a few people on tonight, so I'll thank you if you've watched. Don't forget, if you do watch it back, hit the like button. It helps me out. And subscribe if you can as well for some more. As I said, we've got Southampton coming up this weekend, so I'll do one a little closer to the Southampton fixture, maybe do another one in between. Definitely do a pre-match and a reaction to the game on the weekend. So yeah, catch me for another one. Other than that, guys, take it easy and have a good night. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.